Fan. A person who has a strong admiration for or interest in a particular art form, sport, or famous person. A short form for the word fanatic. Culture can be described as shared meanings that produce shared behaviors. This video will explore 3 topics. Number 1. The specificity of internet fan culture. Number 2. Examples of fan-produced media. Number 3. The unique relationship between the commercial media system and the audience that internet fandom allows. So a brief history. One of the first instances of fandom has been traced back to 1926. Hugo Gernsback's magazine, Amazing Stories, created a letter column. This allowed for readers and fans to talk to the editor, but more importantly, to talk to each other. It is this interactive quality that has led to the modern fandom we know today. Fans have moved from letters to zines to conventions and now to the internet. Social networking between fans has grown significantly because of the internet. Not only can fans talk to each other, but it means that fans from different genres can talk to each other now too. This has led to a sort of mashup of genres, or perhaps we could consider it the postmodernism of fandom. But the other thing it's done is that it's created a unique culture for internet fandom. We can see this in the language and terminology that has emerged, that is specific to fans. BNF, or Big Name Fan. Someone that's famous for his or her level of fandom. Canon Weenie. In terms of fan fiction, someone who doesn't like to stray from the original plot. Plot bunny. This refers to a sudden idea that needs to be developed through fan fiction. Lemon. Lemony goodness. Citrusy. This refers to explicit sexual content, usually in anime fanfiction. It generates from the pornographic cartoon series, Cream Lemon. Wanky. Someone who posts angry rants on other people's fanfiction in order to make themselves feel better.
This fool doesn't know what he's talking about.
Increased social networking means that more fan art and fan literature can easily be disseminated across the internet. So basically, if you wanted to see a picture of Professor Snape pregnant, that really wouldn't be a problem. Really, it's no problem. As fan culture, fiction, and art spreads more and more into the mainstream, stigmas are lifting against fans. That's right, fans have historically been stigmatized or pathologized as deviants, or as Francesca Coppo describes it, participants in the rituals of subculture.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, we can see 2 cultural systems at work here. The commercial media system and the grassroots or mass audience. That's the interesting thing about fandom. It's where the 2 systems meet and interact with one another. This relationship has led to some pretty interesting outcomes. With the mass spread of fan fiction and fan art on the internet, the commercial media system can no longer ignore those little fans. Clive Young discusses in his book Homemade Hollywood 2 examples of the interaction between fan filmmakers and the commercial companies that own the copyrights to the original films. When confronted with the growing popularity of fan films based on comics, the corporation DC Comics released the following statement. "We are against anything that monetizes our assets and our copyrights without permission. We are not against things where people use our assets if they don't do anything monetarily with them." So basically, DC Comics decided to officially turn a blind eye. Lucasfilm had a different approach to fan films. They created the official Star Wars Fan Film Awards. In other words, Lucasfilm recognized the power of fan production. A winner at these awards was the fan film Pink 5, written and directed by Trey Stokes. I think it's important to note how power dynamics have shifted here. The audience no longer sits passive. They can create and critique.
We all live in a yellow submarine, yellow submarine, yellow submarine.
It's not correct to say that the audiences before the internet internalized all the meanings that the commercial media system produced without questioning them, but the internet has simplified interaction between these two systems. It's easier for audiences today to interpret something differently and to take those and display new meanings. Like the example of Pink 5. Trey Stokes took a plotline that had very few female characters and turned it into a one-woman show. Therefore, in doing this, he questioned the gender roles that Hollywood films reproduce over and over and over. For example, Clive Young notes that the ratio between male to female actors in Hollywood films is 3-to-1. And that's simply because there are less roles for female actors to play. There are many fan fiction genres that question traditional gender roles. For example, slash fiction usually explores a relationship between two same-sex characters. The name is generated from the slash that would go in between two characters' names. For example, Kirk / Spock.
I wanna fuck you like an animal. I wanna feel you from the inside. I wanna fuck you like an animal.
However, the internet doesn't just allow the fans an advantage. As Josh Stenger notes, the syndication that the internet allows means that certain select TV series will have a media afterlife, meaning that a show's popularity can continue and even grow even after it's not on the network anymore. As time progresses, we'll see who has more of an influence, the commercial media system or the active fans. Barney Wharf and John Grimes write that the internet is neither emancipatory or oppressive. Instead, they describe it as a battlefield of discourse. The degree to which these different systems can participate depends directly on their technological abilities. And since fans have created a whole culture that's specific to the internet, I think this is an advantage.